This is C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate, and there's going to be two topics here that I will be talking about, and one of which is simply going to be, let's put it this way. The one aspect is that I know there are many companies that do um, general expansions, and there are generally those that do it way too late within the fiscal year, and they usually pay for it. And if they're able to pay for it and still stay in business, there's a plus. But if they're not able to where they have to downsize, even extremely, that can easily hurt them in the long run. And it doesn't always have to correlate or even coincide with any stock percentages, or whether if the stock is at a slant, straight up or straight down, or somewhere in between. Especially the one thing is, though, here's one topic that I will also put on the bottom of the description thing, which is simply Dollar General, essentially at one point within their operation, is that of course Dollar General is within the same retail aspect of, and shall we say, the same genre or venue as, say, Dollar Tree and say Family Dollar, whatnot else. But they did have an expansion, and and of course, a number of years after such, they ended up having to downsize their locations, which basically they had to close a certain number of what's known to be less performing stores. The one thing, though, those stores could easily have picked up on the less performed aspect or viewing if given the chance. But sometimes companies don't want to take that, don't want to do the waiting game, as it were, like many guys and women do when it comes to dating in a completely separate situation or aspect. But and one aspect, though, in the sense of business, is that uh, it is logical to play it safe. Or it could be that they don't know any other way of trying to increase the foot traffic, or be that, of course, pull more foot traffic in from other parts of the county, or even outside the county, from within the state, or even those that are able to go from one county near the border of the two states on either side and make a trip to that particular location. Or if there is anyone, if there's any one that's close by that may not be in the chopping block, as it were, in the sense of closing that one particular location. Thereby, if that one location is nearing the aspect of the chopping block, as it were, as it's been said many times in the business world, even of economics, then simply the general public can help that store build up revenue. But they would have to do it daily, practically, in order until the corporate office of said stores, or whichever it is. It could be Dollar General, it could be Family Dollar, it could be Dollar Tree, it could be any number of businesses, even outside the dollar aspect, right? And until they get to a certain level, or shall we say mainstay of sorts, that they're able to save that location from closing and keep it open. I can say, as I gradually started advocating in my own way, granted, which was a number of years before I started doing the advocating for a business, that I did a part in saving a particular location from closing. Of course, that didn't really save it totally, to the points to where the ones that acquired the company, be that, of course, in this case, it was Long's. I worked for Long's. I know the company pretty darn well. Okay. And of course, everybody knows, at least most people know, that CVS acquired Long's within the 2008, the latter part of 2008, essentially. But yet there was nothing economically or financially wrong in in any part of Long's, be that financial, stock-wise, or anything else for that matter. Foot traffic came and went a little bit in various locations. Granted, that's to be expected. Even Tom and Joe, the founders of Long's, knew this. So, and it's been happening over a number of years to where certain locations would get a high volume of foot traffic and a low to moderate volume, if not very slow, and or even gradual aspects of volume foot traffic inside each store, and it didn't really depend upon really what location, or even for that matter what county and what have you else. But the basic fact is, eventually the foot traffic built up to it was a normal mainstay, right? Dollar General in that case didn't want to take the chance in paying for it to keep that store open, especially they didn't want to keep on paying for the lease and all that stuff. That of course it's too long of a list essentially to mention. That's why I said all this other stuff. Anyway, the one thing is, Longs was able to do it. They were able to keep a percentage of backing for each and every location that had that particular issue. Dollar General apparently didn't want to use that backing. And of course, Family Dollar didn't want to use the same backing either on a number of their stores either. But here's the thing: when it came to me saving a store from closing, because okay, Long's was about to open a smaller store over on Dewey Avenue in Carmichael, California, Sacramento County. Okay, it was on Dewey and Madison. Be that near the corner of Dewey and Madison, right in the same shopping center, Safeway, Taco Bell, all that, right across the street from Alberto's on Madison, on the other side of Madison. What I did was, before they even opened that store, I wrote and emailed to the Walnut Creek or Concord, the Walnut Creek office of the headquarters of Long's on Civic Drive or something or other. And of course, after the acquisition, they since closed that location, and now it's condos. But anyway, when it was still there, though, I wrote to them. They got the thing. They informed the manager. The manager emailed me and thanked me for doing what I did, in the sense of toward that now the store was able to stay open. Therefore, the employees didn't have to go to various other locations, be that also competitors. and which also meant that those that didn't want to go too far, they didn't have to because that store was staying open. If say per se, if that store were, if I didn't do anything, okay, then say that store closed, and then they opened the smaller store. Yet there was another store right down the way on Marconi, and then there was another one down over in on Birdcage, in off of Greenback and Sunrise in Citrus Heights. But there was another one or two of them in Carmichael, right? The one thing is, even though they were equally larger stores as the one that was about to close or be on the chopping block due to the general distance, but I had it to where they were, or the company was able to see, be that of course the corporate office was able to see that that small store is okay, is all good and all that, right? But say for example, if that store didn't have what the customer wanted, therefore, without the larger store in operation, they would possibly end up going to a competitor, if they didn't go to the one, if they didn't want to go further down towards Citrus Heights or even on Marconi, when Long's stores were there as well. Thereby, that would give a higher percentage of foot traffic to and income aspects to the competitor. It could have been Walgreens, it could have been Rite Aid, it could have been any number of them, right? But here's the thing. I made it to where even with that store, that small store open, even after the grand opening, they were still able to utilize that larger store than the small store in a backing sort of thing, as I mentioned, to them. To if the person were to come over and go to that new store and didn't find what they wanted, they'd know they'd be able to go to the one in the Home Depot shopping center where the store that I saved from closing was in operation at, on Manzanita and Mez. And they would have possibly been able to find what they wanted versus that smaller store, right? Thereby, either way, the company got a profit from any one of the two stores. Dollar General didn't want to do it that way. They didn't want to have it set up that way. So they essentially decided to, well, seeing that we have ones that are further apart, we ought to get rid of that one and have people travel even further. But yet at the same time, what they didn't realize is that they're risking the possible chance of the general public, or be that of course any person in general, to go to the competitors or someone else outside the dollar aspect, right? To spend more. Big mistake on Dollar General's aspect. Because even after the expansion, they ended up about a number of years later to cut back deeply by closing a number of the stores in various different locations. Nonetheless, it still can hurt them. Okay, topic number 2. And topic number 2 consists of McDonald's and the fast food industry. And simply the It was said on one video, although I don't know if they found a applicable solution. They probably did at this point, probably didn't. Who's to say? But there was a topic on the fact that it became too damn costly for the franchisee of one or many of McDonald's franchisees when it came to using the delivery aspect of Uber. Uber had a moderately large percentage compared to the franchisee's percentage. That didn't really serve any positive purpose. Therefore, the franchisee, in correlation and cooperation with the district, the corporate office of McDonald's, agreed that they were willing to essentially pay and give that percentage to Uber by utilizing their location for however far they were going from that particular location. Because of course a person could have easily ordered from that store through Uber, depending. The one thing is, Uber can easily make it, with the fact that they're also doing a taxi service of sorts. They can easily make it by decreasing the percentage to where it's comparable and equally balanced and leveled to where both benefit. Not where Uber benefits more than the franchisee, which was the general topic, where Uber was benefiting more so than the franchisee. This could easily present a problem within the fast food franchise, with other franchises such as Jack in the Box, Burger King, Wendy's, any number of them that use that particular type of thing, where their franchisees have to pay, or agree to pay a that percentage towards Uber or whichever delivery service that they're using, especially when it comes to Grubhub or which Taco Bell is using, or or even DoorDash, which of course Jack in the Box and certain other places are using. But of course, that would present a problem to where the franchisee would either have to discontinue it with the agreed aspect of between them and the corporate office, which would mean it would lessen it would essentially take that franchise off the list of delivery options, and due to the affordability aspect. Therefore, the people who live within that same vicinity, or even close enough to it, would have to go to the restaurant in order to get what they want versus using Uber. But here's the thing. Many years ago, about 2011, 2012, right? If not a couple of years before or so, that Burger King used their own staffing in delivering the food. You'd call them, the customer would call them up. They'd order what they want via the internet on the Burger King's webpage at this point, this delivery service, right? Then the person would say of how much it is, even right at the door, if you forget to ask them how much it is there. But if you're not sure exactly if you have enough, it'd be logical to ask how much it would be in the mainstay of the whole thing, to where you know that you'll have enough or not. Therefore, if you find that you won't have enough, then you'll easily say, okay, I cancel it. That sort of thing. But aside from all that, the end result is that there's an option. And I stated it, and I will have it on I'll try to get it on my on the description part of the video. And that is the franchisee would either have a choice to cut back on staffing, which would be a big no-no, especially with the foot traffic situations at times, also depending on location, or completely close that location, thereby lose money even if the franchisee doesn't have a second location. Be that, of course, if that's the only location the franchisee has at current. And or completely get that location off the Uber delivery service of when it comes to that. But they'd have to discuss it with corporate on that. First off, of course, Uber doesn't have to discuss it with the corporate. The franchisee would have to. More often than not, there could be a chance. There could be where the franchisee has no alternative, no option, but to keep it going for that location. But also, it could be also to where the person has an option to where McDonald's, the corporate office of McDonald's, would easily take that location off the Uber delivery service. In which I mentioned that the customer or customers would have to go into that location in order to get what they want. And this, and with the fact that with the fact that it was becoming costly, a little too expensive essentially for the franchisee in question. I'm not going to mention the location. But this because it can span across the whole entire chain of franchisees within the fast food franchise of any number of them that are out there. And the one thing though too is that in order to do a delivery service, they can do it much more in a cost-effective way without using Uber. And Burger King, as I said, Burger King did this many years ago before they started using the same general outfits of what the other ones are using. On the outdoors aspect of Grubhub, DoorDash, and or Uber or whatever the hell else, right? The one thing is, Burger King had it perfect. The only reason they stopped is because there was too much of a issue with their delivery staffing that they couldn't find certain apartment unit numbers. So they eventually stopped that, and therefore everything was at a standstill in the delivery thing. But of course, many years before that, KFC did the delivery service. That was short-lived. But it is said that KFC may not be doing so as well in the American market as they are in the international market, be that Japan, China, what have you else. Outside of the fried chicken aspect of things, which basically KFC is famous for, which is basically their mainstay of their popularity. So, what do you think? Do you think that the franchisees that are not able to afford it should come up with something to where they can go to affordability, or completely have their location taken off the delivery service list, or completely shut down? Or do you think they'd have to suck it up and deal with it? Because that also goes to the points that if you feel that they have to suck it up and deal with it, they're supposed to do what they do it for the general public. That would easily put that location at risk. Doesn't matter what location it is. And this is the truth, which basically means that it would be harder and harder for the person to pay the number of people that they have there. Therefore, they'd have to cut back every so gradually. Each time they find they're not able to afford the number of staff members to where they're either on call or completely pink slipped. Or to the points to where they are no longer working for McDonald's. Or here's another one. They can also do this, but it's not always 100%. Or if the franchisee has a second location, they'd be able to move them to that second location, or even the third location for that matter. Of course, at the same time, is that if the person's willing to go at a further distance, depending. That's another one. So basically, if you say suck it up, the franchises have to deal with it, right? And try to cope with it as best they can. With that particular type of thought, that business would be belly up, ever so gradually. It would end up to that point where that location would be non-existent, much like the location of McDonald's. And the old building of the McDonald's building is on the corner of Madison and Sunrise. They haven't messed with that building quite yet. They haven't done anything to that building yet. But here's the plus side of it, though. That same restaurant apparently moved to a newer building on Sunrise, directly on Sunrise. Only about maybe a few steps away from Madison Avenue, which is still, again, across the street from the Chevron station, the 76 gas station, and Wiener Schnitzel, and Rite Aid, among other retail businesses and food service businesses on Sunrise and Citrus Heights. But not many, if any, have that option, because it would cost even more to open another location outside and move out of the older building. So essentially, that would mean the franchisee in question would have to cut back on staffing if they don't have enough, if they don't have more than just one location, and or go out of business, close that location altogether. If the corporate office does not want them to budge by taking them off the Uber delivery list, or any particular service that they're using within their franchise, the franchise. It doesn't matter if it's Wendy's, Taco Bell, McDonald's, whatever, or Burger King, or even Wiener Schnitzel, or whatever, or whoever else in the franchise aspect, the fast food franchise, even Carl's Jr. and Jack in the Box. So generally, McDonald's needs to possibly, the corporate office of McDonald's, as well as the other corporate offices of the other franchises, even that are currently competing with McDonald's, need to reassociate and relook in and see and check with every franchisee to see if they're able to truly afford the cost effectiveness of as they utilize those delivery services, or generally go into what Burger King did many years ago, which was use their own staffing that had driver's licenses to deliver to the particular locations that called in for the particular order, which was generally a lot less a lot less in the financial drain aspect of things, to where they were able to still operate and not have any cutbacks. Therefore, also they were able to operate even as the foot traffic kind of swayed. And if you don't know what I mean by swaying, where at various different parts of the week it could have been busy at one part of the week, and not so busy to practically quiet and silent, like libraries, or like a ghost town inside the dining room area till, say, the dinner hour, or even until, say, the lunch hour. It it would, of course, each one varies, especially in in food service areas such as Denny's and whatnot else. Um, and speaking of Denny's, though, too, there is one particular Denny's in the Carmichael area that has had a particular management, and that of course I don't know if the person's still there or not, but he needs an attitude adjustment. No person tries to say active the customer is wrong when the customer was 100% right when it came to the the effect, the illness effect, especially, that the customer got a reaction from that particular food. Therefore, they need to cook it to the proper aspects that the person knows, the customer that goes into their damn restaurants knows that they are able to handle. But of course, as time goes on, the person may find that they are not able to handle it. Therefore they would easily say, okay, make sure it's this way, and the meat's this way, like well done or medium rare or whatever the hell else, right? But yet they didn't go to that point, now did they? But yet I was treated by the management over the Denny's in the Bel Air shopping center area on Manzanita as if I didn't know what I was talking about. Like I don't know my own system. Bad move there for Denny's on that one. And with that, Denny's can easily close that location, because that experience may repeat itself, or even if it hasn't already over the number of years, especially. Or change the management to where they're a lot more cooperative and open-minded. What is your thoughts on any one of the topics I mentioned? Please comment on the comment box below. But I will do my best to try to get the links in the comments I stated about that particular video. And if you agree with that too, just let me know on that one as well, if you'd like. And if you're new, welcome. And please be sure to press subscribe and that little bell there that YouTube added, which is a good addition to it. But I gotta give that to YouTube on that one. Anyways, if you want me to talk about any particular type of business, it could be fast food, franchise, any level retail, especially when it comes to the 99-cent store, for example, or any chain or non-chain, or even mom and pop shop. that's still in operation, and I can easily look into it. Just let me know, though. Um, but I will also add that even with the the Albertsons and Safeway thing currently, Albertsons doesn't seem to see that they're not doing themselves or even Safeway any positive thing. Even Kroger wanted to um, buy a percentage of Safeway. That would have hurt Kroger more than they think, or maybe more than they even have thought. Even before the moderate acquisition of Albertsons between Safeway and Albertsons, essentially. And what Albertsons doesn't realize, and pretty much what they can be going to the same demise as, say, Orchard Supply Hardware did when Orchard Supply Hardware well, after a number of years after Orchard Supply Hardware, or OSH, was acquired by Lowe's, and they're still in the search of the original and antique type neon sign, if they haven't already found it, of the Orchard Supply Hardware sign that was in the very first location of the San Jose location of Orchard Supply Hardware before they did a wide expansion. So we are asking those to keep an eye out and an ear out when it comes to that sign, if they haven't already found it. And let's see now. Amazon is still in connection with Whole Foods. Yet they still plan to do their own aspect of online food store aspects, and they don't seem to hold on. They don't seem to be going to the points to where they need to do one of many things. First off, they need to disattach themselves from Whole Foods before they go into that fully of the online grocery market aspect. Amazon needs to do that right away, or put that grocery market idea of the online grocery market completely out of the picture if they're going to stay with Whole Foods, even in the delivery concept. And Albertsons needs to keep a close eye on that. So there's one right there. And I can tell you honestly, Rite Aid is at a downfall of its own. Not too long ago, Walgreens took a percentage of their stores and closed them, and if they didn't reface them and change, the name change. The one thing is that they haven't really reached a full percentage of the Western market when it comes to Rite Aid, and which basically puts Rite Aid in the aspect where Rite Aid, if they do it right without closing stores, they can easily build back up and possibly take back what was taken from them, or do what Payless did and completely be bought out by Walgreens, which would increase the number of locations and stores for Walgreens, and also where Walgreens would say, okay, we're not going to keep these stores, we'll sell them. Be that, of course, the Rite Aid locations that are even at present still in business would be gone. There'd be generally an empty, wide space in that one part of this, in that one retail space, as it were. Much like the Longs on Manzanita and Madison was for some time, and then it went to a one store clothing thing, and then of course after a while that went out. Now the building is once again empty. CVS should have taken that building as well, but they probably thought they were too good for that building. They didn't want it. They don't want to feel like they were below themselves by taking that one building, even though as they acquired the company of Longs. And I can tell you is that I'm still working in my own way to get in ways of getting Longs back into California where it belongs. Yes, it'll stay in Hawaii. Yes, it can easily expand to the other states that was in, but also even further. But they don't, and I can come up with ways that where CVS would be in financial straits, where CVS would have to sell themselves to the Hawaiian office of Longs, and Longs would therefore expand from the Western market all the way across. Which basically that was the whole idea to start with, that Tom and Joe wanted to do eventually, but they weren't able to do it because of they wanted to watch what they were doing. Which basically I understand. Each business needs to watch it, but Walmart and thinks that they're too strong and too well established. They're not. And also, the one aspect of that is that I know a number of you have seen the Walmart commercials where they use these iconic vehicles such as the Knight Rider, the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine, the Ghostbusters vehicle, the vehicle from Dumb and Dumber and various others, right? Especially from Jurassic Park, among others, and the Transformer of Bumblebee. In the commercials, when it comes to the the delivery aspect of bringing the groceries that they order online to the vehicle that pulls up in what Rayleigh's, Bel Air Rayleigh's, and Nob Hill Foods would call the e-cart system. But here's the thing. Walmart didn't come up with that idea at first at all. The ones that need to be commended for coming up with that particular idea are simply Rayleigh's Bel Air, Nob Hill Foods Company. They came up with it, therefore Walmart utilized it in their own way. So don't ever think that Walmart came up with that idea first before anybody else, because that's a load of crud. Seriously. Rayleigh's, Bel Air, Nob Hill came up with that idea way before Walmart ever utilized it in their own way. Yes, Walmart had this thing to where they're able to have a product from one store to another, or from their warehouse to a store when it comes to various items, right? But that doesn't connect with the fact of what Rayleigh's, Bel Air, Nob Hill Foods came up with when it came to the e-cart system. So Rayleigh's and Bel Air, Nob Hill, good going. Walmart, you are utilizing something that you can easily be sued for, by the way. And also, Walmart needs to also do a number of other things too. Quit acting like a little small child and coming up with phony ass reasons to close down their large stores because they don't want to pay for the plumbing or restructuring the building or refacing essentially the building towards even earthquake safe. And if they don't want to have to pay for plumbing and the sewage thing that their large stores would normally have more often than the very first store may have had in Bentonville when Walmart first started. Then they should go back down to the one floor building concept and utilize and kind of spread out their stores in that aspect as a one floor aspect, and have only so many of what they have currently in one store and so many of what they have in other stores. That way you don't have to worry about the plumbing so much, and you don't have to worry about paying too damn much for it, now do you, if you're going to be that cheap, Walmart? Okay, this is C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate. If you have any topics that you want me to talk about, even when it comes, generally when it comes to business mainly on this one, please let me know if you have any topics that you want me to talk about when it comes to humanitarian advocate or citizen advocate, or even my health watch videos and disability advocate videos especially. Um, Please comment on those per topic. And anyways, this is C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate. Have a wonderful day and stay safe.